Welcome to a panel discussion titled The Global Exchange, the Future of Education. You'll be hearing from a world-famous sociologist, national policymakers, the General Secretary of the world's leading medical education organization, the president of a top US engineering education organization, and experts on digital technology and edtech. So during the next hour and a half, I will be your moderator. I'm Gavin Hewitt, the BBC's former chief correspondent and Europe editor. Professor Vikas Rai Bhatnagar, who specializes in general management and organization in India. And my question is really, what organizational factors impede outcomes-based education? What are those factors that really get in the way from your perspective? Professor Bhatnagar, you hear me?
Yes, thank you so much for that question. I have an experience of Indian Army, long experience in the corporate and then in the academics. So from that experience, I would share that what I think gets into the way of organizations that impede outcome-based education. The first point is the ritualistic vision, mission, and value statements which are not operationalized. In the corporates, the business firms, we are very passionate about these vision, mission, values, and these are lived, these are operationalized. Now, Chris Argyris talks about espouse theories and theories in use. So there's something which we tell to the world, which feels good, and there's something which we practice. So if we have a very tight coupling of the vision, mission, values, and have a strategy emerging from that, which is outcome-based, then it would do a lot of good for the outcome-based education. The second I would like to mention is about the accreditation and the ranking system. Now, these are very beautiful frameworks for enabling the business schools and the educational institutes to improve their efficiencies and do what they are supposed to be doing. But the experience has been that there's a lot of stage management which happens, and these accreditation frameworks are not taken in the right spirit, right? The third point that I would like to mention is that students learn a lot by what they experience. The Coles learning, the experiential learning framework. Now, management institutes need to also have very good management practices. What we teach and what they experience in the management schools, there has to be an alignment, and students would learn much more by what they experience as management practices as compared to what is being taught. So these are the 3 points I would like to mention at this point of time. Thank you so much.
I'd like to pick up on something that I think Mr. Bhatnagar raised with us very early. It was absolutely fundamental. Outcome-based education emerged out of a deep sense of purpose. Okay, it is purpose that fundamentally defines outcomes. Okay, why are we here as an education system? What are we trying to do? And are we being consistent with that purpose? When Dr. Charles Schwann and I developed a future-focused framework that we called strategic design way back in 1987, okay, we were going into communities and we were building consensus, et cetera, about what is the best evidence we have about the future, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not sure we could do that today in the United States. And I'm not sure we could do that today in a lot of other countries, because culturally and paradigmatically, we have become so divided that consensus building around something is enormously difficult.
Is Vikas Rai Bhatnagar, your final thought, and then we'll bring this session to a close.
What has excited me most is the convergence towards the human centricity. Immanuel Kant had mentioned that human beings should never be treated as a means towards an end, but always as an end, because they possess the property of consciousness, which is so precious. The rational economic man conceptualization of human being is a truncated model which doesn't work. The systemic economic framework of human being, which has all the faculties and dynamic interaction, is what is required. The last point that I would like to make is that Swami Vivekananda had mentioned that one can by heart the whole of library, but then it is more important to have few ideas internalized which can change the world as compared to by hearting the whole of library. So our cognition has to be married with our affection, with the feeling. We act when we feel for a cause, right? And we need to have more of these discussions around feeling in the education, and that has to be guided by ethics. What is the right thing to do? I think Milton Friedman had also mentioned that the business of the business is to make profit. The social purpose of business is to make profit as long as it is ethical and without deception and fraud, right? So we miss out on the last part. So ethics is very, very important. What is the right thing to do with feeling and married with the cognition? It has been a wonderful discussion. Thank you so much. I'm so enlightened by the quality of discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Time doesn't wait for anyone, as they say.